Hello everyone, it's War from DOS 4 Horsemen. Wait a minute, where's the intro? This is the intro, silly. Normally I do these somewhat funny intros. I like to believe they're really funny. But today I'm not. Why? Because today I'm going to talk about something that isn't Flash or DC related. I'm going to talk about Game of Thrones because it is a great show and I love it. And it's really hard to do a funny intro when most of the show elements are either a sex scene or they kill your favorite character that you love. Now, before I get into the episode, I want to put a spoiler warning. So you've been warned. Now, let me tell you guys about the show. And it's really hard to talk about the show and what it is because there's so many subplots in it. So instead, I'm going to tell you the very general idea. Game of Thrones is set in a medieval time, and essentially the main conflict is everyone wants to rule all the seven kingdoms. There's this thing called the Iron Throne that's in Westeros, and that's where you want to be king or queen, and that's a conflict. Everybody wants that, except for the people up north in Winterfell, where they have their own king and they don't really care. They do their own thing. There's another conflict that's pretty big that I'm going to include. There's these things called the White Walkers. They're essentially zombies mixed with like ice creatures, and they're going to come and kill the living and infect them. That's basically the show conflict thing. I know that was very vague, and I'm not going to get into detail because if I were to get into detail, this video would just drag on all the subplots and everything. Now, let me talk about the episode because God, what an episode. Alright, so the first scene, we see that it's the trial of Cersei Lannister. Cersei Lannister is the king's mother, and she's in trial because, you know, she committed crimes against the crown. The priest guy, he's not dumb. He knows the things she did. So, what ends up happening is, first of all, whoever did the music, amazing job. Amazing dramatic music being played. And it's Cersei Lannister's trial, and everyone's in the courtroom, like it's jam-packed. You know, you have the High Sparrow, who's the priest, the queen's there, Marjorie Tyrell's there, everyone but Cersei's there, and her son, which is the king. And I was wondering, wow, are they gonna have this huge showdown? No, they do not. Oh my god. The High Sparrow gets his small little sparrows, which I guess would be the equivalent of like choir boys, I guess, to go find Cersei. Like, yo, go bring her because she doesn't have any say in this. She's gonna be here whether she wants to or not. And one guy comes in because he's the like really trusted sparrow. He goes in to find Cersei, and he's also related to Cersei, by the way. He finds this kid. He like goes after the kid because he's like, yo, this kid looks suspicious. Everyone's in here, but you? So he goes to find the kid, and he gets stabbed by the kid because the kid leads him away, and he stabs him, and then he's on the ground. He can't walk because he stabbed him pretty good to make him kind of paralyzed, so he's like crawling, and there's a ton of wildfire, barrels of wildfire, so the equivalent of like dynamite, like just barrels of dynamite, you know, like explosives. He's trying to like get close to the wildfire. All the way at the end, there's wildfire leaked everywhere and a candle that's like all the way down to the ground, and he's trying to go over there so he can blow it out. And the queen, Marjorie Tyrell, she notices something's up. She's like, yo, hold on, Cersei's not here and my husband's not here, something's going on, we should leave, we should get out. And the High Sparrow's like, don't worry about it. And as the music builds up, you just see the sparrow that's crawling, you see him about to blow out the candle, but before he does, it ignites all the wildfire, and it's scattered everywhere around the courtroom, and it explodes and it kills everyone. Damn. After that happens, the king, he was destroyed because he cared about the faith. He's the one who brought this together, and his wife was there, so he commits suicide. Everyone's dead in that courtroom. They all died. There's this other person, I think it was one of the Grand Meisters, who plays a part in this government in Game of Thrones, and he gets killed as well. So for all the people who talk about George R.R. Martin killing a lot of individuals, he has nothing compared to the showrunners, okay? Because the showrunners are the real villains. They kill people left and right. They kill more people than George R.R. Martin has. After that scene, we see one of the nuns being captured by Cersei. Cersei tortures a nun because the nun tortured Cersei previously on the season, and I don't know what happens with the nun because Cersei brings out the Mountain, who looks really disfigured and ugly, but you can't really tell like how he looks in his face. You know he looks ugly, and she just starts screaming. So I don't know if he like raped her or if he's torturing her, but she's just screaming, which, I mean, I'd be scared if like I was gonna get tortured, or if, you know, like I got chained up and I saw this ugly person looking at me, but I don't think I'd scream. That's just messed up. I mean, come on, don't you think he feels bad that he looks pretty ugly? So after that scene, you see Jaime Lannister and Walter Frey talking because the Lannisters come in taking this one castle that the Freys were having trouble with, and there's a small scene that I enjoyed where Walter Frey is talking to Jaime Lannister, and Walter Frey says along the lines of, yeah, we're both Kingslayers, we both understand each other, and Jaime's like, but people are afraid of the Lannisters. No one's afraid of you. You can't even keep a castle secure for a few moments. We have to come in and ride and make sure you maintain your castle. You can't take care of a couple of enemies. No one's afraid of you. And, you can tell he's mad. He's like, grrr. And later on, what ends up happening with Walter Frey is this one waitress that looks pretty attractive, is serving this meat pie to him. And, he's a pervert. And he's like, you're not from around here, are you? And she's like, no. And he's like, I can tell you're pretty. And he smacks her ass. And he's complaining about, where are my men? They were supposed to be here. And the waitress is like, oh, no, they're here. And he's like, where? I don't see them. And she looks at the pie and she says, oh, no, they're here. And he lifts up the pie crust and he sees a toe. And he looks at her like, what the fuck? And she takes off her face and it's Arya Stark. And she's like, the last thing you're gonna see is a Stark smiling at you while you die. And as soon as he tries to get up and run away, one, the dude's really old, so he's not gonna get anywhere and he can't fight her. She grabs him, sits him back down, and slits his throat. The same way Catelyn Stark died is the same way Walter Frey died, and I thought that was amazing. That was great. Then after that, we're introduced. I'm gonna miss a couple of scenes, and I'm sorry if I have. I apologize for that. After that, we're introduced to Jon Snow, and yeah, he won his battle, and he reclaimed Winterfell. But he's kind of, I wouldn't say arguing, but he's basically saying, I don't want to be king. I'm a bastard. No one's gonna follow a bastard. You should be the queen. She tells him, no, it would make sense that you do it because you're a good leader and all that stuff. And she feels like he would make a better king than if she was in charge. After that scene happens, I apologize if it sounds like my thoughts are very jumbled up mess, but honestly, if you've seen the episode or if you've seen Game of Thrones at all, you know that it goes from one scene to the next scene to another character to another character. I'm going to talk about Daenerys Targaryen's part in this episode. It's basically her just getting ships and getting ready to go to war. There was a nice touching scene where you see her and Tyrion, and she's like, I made you something, and she hands him the hand symbol. Tyrion Lannister used to be the king's hand, and she says, Tyrion Lannister, will you accept being the queen's hand, or I make you the queen's hands, or whatever. And it was just so nice seeing Tyrion. It looked like he was tearing up, and he was like, damn, this girl's like, she's awesome, she's so nice. And I really hope they don't kill her. She's so awesome. I love her. Seriously, like, she's such a great character, and she's just so good. That's what happens with her. What happens with Bran? So Benjen Stark takes Bran, and he's like, this is as far as I can take you. You're gonna have to go like the rest of the way. And they're like, why can't you come with us? And he says, the wall has ancient spells inscribed in them with like really strong magic, and it keeps the dead, and I'm the dead. So that's all. Then Bran is in the tree. He's like near that tree, that, old god's tree, the bleeding tree. He puts his hand there because, he's like now the third eye raven. And finally, we get the question answered. Who is Jon Snow? Because as soon as he puts his hand there, Bran gets the vision of what happened at that tower with his father when he was young. And he goes up into the tower. Ned Stark goes up into this tower, and we finally see it. There was a theory about this. And it's Ned Stark's sister bleeding, and she's dying, and she whispers something into his ears. You can't hear much of it in the beginning. All you get from that conversation is just, if he finds out, he'll kill him. Please protect him, Ned. Please protect him. And then the baby's born, and we all knew who this was. And as soon as the baby's born, he opens up his eyes, and then the camera transitions to Jon Snow's eyes. That's them saying, yeah, it's Jon Snow. That's Jon Snow. He is a Stark. That's where we get to this scene, which to me, it was such a nice scene because Game of Thrones has killed my hope. Like, it gives me hope, and then it rips it out. So whenever I watch Game of Thrones, I'm like, no, they're all gonna die. It doesn't matter. Who cares? Life is meaningless. They're all gonna die. But there was a scene where everyone's like, no, we're not gonna be with the wildlings. Oh, we don't like the wildlings. And the wildlings are like, we got invited here. And all these sides aren't really coming together after the battle. The head of the house, Mormont, which is a little child, by the way, she's a boss. She steps in and she's just like, you guys weren't there to answer the call, but I was. And I don't know about you guys, but to me, Jon Snow is the king, and everyone's like, yeah, King of the North, King of the North. And it's just such a touching scene, seeing Jon Snow finally being recognized as King of the North. It's just so great being able to see that scene, everyone just cheering with him, and it gave me flashbacks to like Robb Stark when he was King of the North. I hope he doesn't die, by the way. There's also a small glance between Littlefinger and Sansa Stark, but that's because they had this small conversation where Littlefinger basically says, I want to rule the Iron Throne, and I want you to be my wife, and she's like, no. no? She rejected him, and I guess he didn't take that too well. After that scene happens, it's such a great juxtaposition to the next scene, which is basically Cersei Lannister being crowned the ruler of Westeros. That was such a great juxtaposition from, oh, King of the North, we're all happy, to death, despair, sorrow. It was so chilling. And again, huge props to whoever composed the music, because that music that they used for Cersei Lannister was just great. It was amazing. After that scene, we get the closing moments where we finally see Daenerys Targaryen with her ships. There's, I think, 3 ships that have like a dragon's face at the end or at the front. I don't know if all the ships have them. I think I only saw 3, but that was so cool. I don't know how they got the time to do that, but it was such a cool scene. They're all together, and then you see like the dragons flying and everything, and that's where it ends. I enjoyed the season finale. I enjoyed the whole entire season. I think this is my favorite season finale ever, because it gives me hope, but it also lets me know that shit's about to go down, because Cersei's now the ruler of Westeros, Jon Snow's the ruler of the North, and now Daenerys Targaryen is coming with her ships, so expect another big battle, and I can't wait. I can't wait to see what happens, you know? Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. It'll make my wildling friend Death very happy if you hit that subscribe button. It'll make me very happy too, but you know, Death has no friends, so do it for Death. Thank you all for watching, and as always, just because I am here doesn't mean the end is near.